what bourbon can I pair with this data breach story or this breach reason? People don't believe me.
Are you planning on doing that at this event?
Yeah, I mean, it's the one thing I do look forward to. No, just kidding.
Help me with HIPAA. Let's get it right. Protect your patients day and night. Donna and David, the experts on your side. Help me with HIPAA. Let's get it right.
Donna, there are a few things in life that you probably have done more consistently than this.
You're right. You're right.
I know. So today we celebrate our 500th episode.
Yeah.
500. So let's talk a little bit about that. Let's talk about how I roped you into this in the beginning.
It's the same nightmare every time we have to do that. But we did start, back when we first started, people were like, what's a podcast?
Yeah, they were.
And now there's production companies and all these tools that automate everything. And you and I were like, well, I think if we do this, you'd done all, we need to get an account here. And then record that, and and then you bring Bo our buddy, in, and he's been with us almost the entire time. I don't know how many episodes you did before you had him start editing them.
Yeah, it wasn't many.
Because you're like, this is a lot harder than I thought it was going to be.
This is a lot of work, but yeah. So, and there are some podcasts out there that put out podcasts like daily, but we've been doing it weekly. So 500 episodes for us, a decade, 10 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you go look on Libsyn, there is a few extra, but we don't count the ones. If we do a replay, we don't count it. We don't count the blooper shows. There's a few in the beginning. We were going to do these brief answer episodes instead of including the questions, but then that required us to record and manage too many things. So we're like, no. So I think if you go out on Libsyn, there's like 506 or 7, but maybe a few more. But the bottom line is there are 500 episodes of actual Help Me With HIPAA content.
Yeah.
That's a lot. And 10 years of managing putting something out every week. Because that's not easy.
We've had everything from recording while we're sick to having to do makeshift audio setups. I recall one time we had, paper towel tubes and toilet paper tubes holding stuff up in pots.
Our podcast, when we use pots to stack things up to kind of get where we could look at it better. And podcast, that was fun. And we did our trip where we went together to HIMSS and the podcast conference and shot a few videos on that. And, that's the strawberry and nanners and a few other little random things. But that podcast thing we went to, that was the first one. Podfest is what it was called. Yeah. Now it's a big thing. Did you know that? It's like, I think it's the biggest podcast event. I thought podcast movement was, and that was the West Coast, and we were like, look, we already broke.
Yeah, but that's when we learned doing hymns and something else back to back was.
Oh no, we were in a coma for like days.
It was too much. Yeah, but it's been fun. It's been fun. And just imagine how bad the world would be had we not be putting content out for 10 years. I
know, because, it's really bad. And, what is cyber criminals are, living la vida loca. And we're still trying the same old. We are. I mean, when we go through this, terrifying, horrifying, and in some ways defeating to see what we were talking about in those first 20 episodes and what we're talking about today.
Yeah. Not much different.
Well, the topics are so similar, but the details are different. There's a lot more to it, but all of the years of our jokes and stupid things that we say and random rabbit holes.
I'm glad.
Thanks
I'm just
for
glad you said the stupid things we say instead of I say.
Well, I'm trying. We've been to marriage counseling, and my it's I can't imagine if we've made a difference, then I can't imagine how bad it would be if we hadn't.
That's right.
So we've been trying to figure out what to do with this, and then I get this report that is Chris Bowen is the founder and CEO of ClearData. They do hosting, and he's an HSCC member. So the Health Sector Coordinating Council is continuing to do things while we don't know what our public partners are going to do. But he sent out this report they'd done just asking, what were our thoughts on it. And I'm looking at it like, this is, AI is the only new thing.
Yeah.
The tactics, techniques, procedures, slightly different, of the bad guys. But overall, it's just, where are the bombs coming from?
Well, when it comes to AI, I do have a new phrase, acronym that I want to coin. I want to go on the record today.
This is the thing you said you weren't going to tell me until we were recording. Is this it?
Because I was in the shower yesterday where all brilliant ideas come from.
Yes.
And it hit me. I was like, you know what? There's going to be a managed AI detection service that we're going to be able to sell before long. And I can't wait to call it maid service.
He's a made man.
So managed AI detection, MAID service will be coming. And when it does, everybody know you heard it here first.
And if you're old enough, you can remember a show that was Hazel. I can't wait to see you wear her outfit. And for those of you that have been around enough, look up the 1950s, 60s TV show shit. Back in the day where the maid wore uniform, Hazel wore one, and I'm going to get you one of those. Or I'm going to have. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to have AI make a picture of you.
So to derail things a little bit with AI, I hadn't sent you this yet, but I saw a video today where a guy had his webcam on, and I don't know what service he was using, but it changed the video of the person in the webcam live. So it was you sitting there looking at the camera, but your face was somebody else's live.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, that's crazy. Like it wasn't, done in post editing or ran through an AI and spit out a different output. It was immediate.
See?
Creepy.
That's how,
So, think about that. Like I could take a picture of somebody and then run it through this thing, and I could literally do a video call with somebody and have a conversation with them.
Yep.
And look like somebody else.
Yeah. That would just, they're already figuring out ways to do it, and that just makes them better at it, which is part of what was, in this report is AI is accelerating their capabilities. And we knew that, and we talked about it. And the fact that even people really good at recognizing phishing are now falling for it. I mean, I don't know about you, but man, I am like studying things now. Okay, it wants me to click a link. It wants me to open something.
I've had people call me and like, I've sent you 4 emails. I'm like, I ain't clicking on nothing. If you want my attention, you better get it some other way.
Yeah, you're going to send me that another method, not in an email.
I'm scared to open up my mailbox at the road.
So, if I look at what's in the news and you've got where it's coming from, we don't know. Seems like it's going up. The attacks are, and most attacks are coming from inside the house.
Well, are they though? Like,
I know you can't
because, yeah, I mean, they could be using VPNs, they could be using botnets, they can take over somebody else's computer, which is probably what they do.
That's easily the case. Is to come on all those people who think, well, I don't have anything anybody wants. Yeah, you do. You do.
Mm-hmm.
You got a computer.
And the whole VPN thing, we might need to talk about that next week or so.
Oh, yeah, we need to go through that. Anyway, see, I mean, it just keeps going. So, well, let me hit on the top things that Chris thought were critical takeaways from the report information that came out with is the shifting of it feels like they're originating in North America. We don't know. India and China have gone up, but it also is that we've blacklisted. I blacklisted a lot of countries. In fact, when I'm out of the country, even when I was in Puerto Rico, I had to have Krista update it. I had to go around things to update if I wanted to access anything without setting up the VPN to make sure I was, and it was like on my phone. It didn't matter because I was blocking things, even though Puerto Rico is a U.S. territory. I didn't care. I was blocking things. But now they're able to go through, they make it look like they're in Germany or Poland and, people that we thought in the past were allies. And then you throw in the AI. So, they're adapting. We're still trying to get people to listen to us. And AI is letting them get even better at attacking us when we're still fighting the same battles we always have.
Mm-hmm.
And then this is new, just came out yesterday, that Cybercom and CISA missions have been changed, that instead of proactively attacking and monitoring Russia, they're only limited to defense. It's not offense anymore. So still early yet, but every cybersecurity expert I've read on it is like, this is really bad. Because if we're not looking, they continue to change. If we're not attacking, then that frees up their resources to attack us. So none of these are good things. None at all. But we saw all this coming. We saw the cybersecurity landscape becoming madness. And we talked about it. We said, look, warning, this is going to happen. And then it did happen. And then we'd say, but we told you that. So now listen. No. And here we are. So went through and pulled some of our original first 20 episodes to see how things had evolved. Now, other than our random madness that we were doing back then, and much better audio today tools, as we were trying to figure out, I got a microphone, not, okay, yeah. Episode 1 was just about what we thought we were going to do. Now, that is funny because we didn't know what we were going to do. And if you listen to that, you know that we didn't know.
We probably said we're going to push record and see what happens.
Yep, there you But episode number 2 was about business associates. And what is it we talk about all the time? Vendor risk is worse than ever. And then here it is in that report where it's like the forecast says third-party vendors and open source software maintainers will be increasingly targeted in 2025. And they're just injecting code into whatever tools are being used or being developed so that none of our tools will, if it's something that's legit and then all of a sudden it starts doing nefarious behavior, what are we going to do?
Yeah. Yep. That's why you need to have defense in depth, which we've talked about before, and not having your whole entire security stack under one flavor is my preference. And there's people that argue against that, and that's fine.
Yep. There's pros and cons to any approach. Well, but we would have never used the term security stack and all of those kind of things 10 years ago. That was not a thing.
No, it's like, why would I stack security? I just need this one thing.
Yeah. If I just configure it right and run some antivirus, I'm good to go. But that's not true. Yeah. And the business associates, they know what they're doing about the same as everybody else. Don't worry. Oh, wait. You mean if I hit one business associate, I hit 100 covered entities? Cool, the criminal said.
Yeah, no kidding.
So it's only gotten worse, and there's multiple discussions that happened back in those early days saying, hey, vendors, you need to understand that you're a target and you need to be not only being compliant with this stuff, that it's not just paperwork, but you still periodically see somebody say that all you have to do to be a business associate is sign the BAA. I mean, you don't ever go a year without seeing it. How long do you think you go without seeing it in some of your discussions?
Not very long at all.
Really? Not even like a month or more? Wow. That there are some... See, nobody says that stuff in front of me. Because I start going, la, 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 la. Fingers in my ears. Okay, I just can't even talk about that anymore. So, episode number 3 was about encryption. Now, in that one, we were explaining what encryption was. And saying, look, we're telling you we're trying to do this and not be overly technical and explain these technical terms. But here we are. And back then, by the way, the number one data breach reason was unencrypted laptops being lost and stolen. That was number one back then. And yeah, but we still had over 40,000 people who were in data breaches in 2024 due to improper disposal, loss, or theft.
Yeah, well, I believe that.
I mean, it's still enough to have over. Those are only the big ones. And most of those are little.
I had one not long ago. It wasn't a breach. Could have been. Because we were instructed to take a laptop that was not functioning properly and it was under warranty. And the client said, please ship this back to Dell so that it can be fixed or replaced. And following our process, we sanitized the machine and then sent it back in because there was no data on it that they didn't have somewhere else. There was PHI on it. So we sanitized the whole thing, sent it in, and the client says, why did you invoice us for media sanitization on this thing? Like, because you had PHI on it and you wanted us to send it to Dell. And they were like, oh.
Okay. And you don't have a BAA with Dell. Well, at least they understood, did they?
Yeah. Okay. But you know what? Not even thank you for saving us from a breach. No.
It's why'd you bill me for you saved me.
Why'd you bill me for that?
You saved me, but why did you bill me? You should save me for free like Superman does. Or Toilet Man.
That's the problem. See, if Superman would take payment before he pulled you out.
Superman's going to have the little PayPal thing in front of you where, don't worry about the tip. I'll just be paying attention right here. Go ahead, tap it.
Yeah. Here's my Cash App, and here's the QR code to scan.
I know.
He's not going to have a Superman S on his. He's going to have this QR code to get his PayPal. Oh,
jeez. I know the bartenders that put up their Cash App, and I'm like, I'm not paying you that way. That is so wrong. No.
I'm not scanning that.
No. These are. There we went down. We talked toilet man, Superman, QR codes, and Cash App.
We just did it all, didn't we?
Just boom. All we got. So it's if we look at it and say that if we keep talking about it, maybe, just maybe, we could get to episode 4.
How do you eat an elephant? I'm still eating that elephant.
I know, me too.
10 years later, man, I'm still eating that elephant.
And sometimes it's hard to remember that you're there to eat the elephant when it's stomping on you. And and we know that happens, but you can't even get a bite out of it because it's stomping you so hard. But you got to keep trying. So even back then, we're saying we know this isn't easy, but it's not going to get easier. And compared to today, it was easy back then. When I look at what we were doing back then, and it was good enough compared to, it could have always been improved. I always think you can improve it. But compared to what we have to do today, night and day.
Yeah.
So,
yep.
If you had gotten started back then, you would have had a smaller elephant that you were still fighting. It wouldn't have been an entire family of them. So it's the herd of elephants down. But we knew that. We knew that back then. And we have never stopped talking about, we get it. It's not easy. But it's never going to get easier.
Nope.
And it
won't be any easier, and it won't be any less expensive.
No, it's always going to be harder. The longer you wait, the harder it will be, and the more expensive it will be. And if you will ever get your hands around it and then start maintaining it, it will never be that hard again.
It's the same way with your health. Like if you don't do anything for a long period of time, it costs you more and takes you longer. To get it resolved.
Yeah, we can give you a ton. You don't clean the house for, ever, and then finally you start cleaning. It's not going to happen overnight. If you never make the teenager clean the room, I know what it became because I was a teenager. It was awful, and and it was like, shared a room with my sister, and both of us were like, hey, it's your fault. All right. But then, there's some others we'll hit in a minute. But episode 12, we'll jump to 12, breach response plans. We were just talking about Change Healthcare this time last year. It was happening this time last year. And it was bad this time last year. It was really bad. And
it was.
It's close to $3 billion, maybe more, and probably still has lingering effects. Do you think anybody learned any lessons?
Who knows, man? Because you're going to have a lot of people that had an issue with it. Like, let's say small provider couldn't get payments and all this kind of stuff. I've had people tell me that they were disrupted by the whole Change Healthcare thing. And then when I say, well, what changes have you made since then? They're like, what? Like this, that wasn't our problem. It was Change. No, it was your problem.
Yeah.
It wasn't your responsibility, but it was your problem. What are you doing differently? And it's like, oh.
You know, what have you learned and adapted? You just think that's never going to happen again?
I know.
It's like, we'll never have another hurricane in Florida. Okay.
Yeah.
That's what it's like. And you know, we still are doing a lot of, hey, do you have an incident response plan, and the importance of having one?
Most not.
No.
Because I usually ask for those when I'm talking to a new prospect. You know, when's the last time you did an SRA? Do you have that you could share parts of it with me? I'm not asking for it now. Do you have it? So that, you know, we can cross that bridge. And I would still venture to say 90+% of the time, the answer is, yeah, I haven't done that. Or I haven't done it in a while. Or I have done one. And then I say, okay, so then you can give me your policy on. And they're like, no. Okay.
Or my other one, hey, does anybody remember where that notebook is?
Yeah, it is. And then, you know, from an IT perspective, I feel like, okay, I'm coming in and I'm just like throwing penicillin at it. Like, we don't know exactly what to do because we don't have the SRA or the risk management plan. So we're just going to have to do something that's a broad-based approach until we figure out where the exact problems are.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, and that was another one of our episodes is, you know, HIPAA compliant IT we talked about in the beginning. Let's see. What episode was that? I didn't even put it on my list. Oh, look, that was episode 6. Episode 5, without documentation. Wow, we just talked about all the same things. And episode 18, that's the one where I was just like, email isn't secure. Really? Is it secure?
Wow.
Okay, yeah.
Here's the bad thing about it is email can be more secure nowadays than it could 10 years ago, and people are still choosing not to do it.
They're not
so it's not even a matter. Yeah, it's not even a matter of, well, it's not available or it's going to cost us money. It's okay, it's now available and it's free and you still won't use it.
Right. So that, when you look at the over 500 breaches on the OCR website, now I just pulled the ones that were submitted with a 2024 date for these numbers that I'm pulling, but the email was the location of the breach in over 120 of the 556 reported breaches. So, I mean,
yeah, completely preventable, I would say.
In almost
at
every
least
case.
In most cases.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They are getting really good at it. The AI thing is letting them get good. And phishing has to do with 40% of overall breaches. So, I mean, we know it's a problem. But what are you going to do? And if we've been talking about it that long, and back then, you know, we had an episode, I don't even look up when it was, that we explained what 2FA was, which now we call MFA. I like 2FA better, but MFA is what everybody says. Because you don't want to stop at 2, maybe. But at least then I would know how many I have to have. But, you know, we did explain that back in the day when it was like something we were using and it was something we were recommending others use. And, you know, but no. So, I mean, it just keeps going. We reviewed Poneman's study in 2014 on healthcare breaches, talked about all the different reasons. What is a risk analysis? That's episode 13. Log audits, 14. It's not just about HIPAA anymore. That was 15. You know, nurturing a culture of compliance, compliance management, and your documentation, your mobile devices. And then episode 20, it's the people. People was about insiders.
Yeah.
So we covered all this.
We could
we're done.
We could have just put the 20 episodes out on repeat. We've just repeated the 20 episodes 500 times.
We just go in and, update them a little bit with whatever the latest thing is. And, but it's just, So I do look at it and say, and we've often talked about, let's just make a new podcast. And then we loop around back to where we are again because it becomes too complicated, too much effort. We're known as this, but...
yeah, well, I like your idea of the gardening podcast. That sounds like it would be a lot less stressful to me. Except, gardening things will die too, so I don't know that it would be.
They do. If you do feed them, they will try to grow. Yeah. But, then we'll be planting something in the, direct sunlight that needs shade. So,
yeah. Well, I mean, in certain states, I think gardening would be more preferable than other states.
Yeah.
I'll leave it at that.
I concur. And, I could do a bourbon one or a whiskey one. Or
you could do that.
Or we could do just a random, hey, what are you thinking about today? But any number of things. But we do know.
Maybe you could do your bourbon and breeches, just make it an entire podcast.
Yeah, bourbon and breeches happy hour could be, what bourbon can I pair with this data breach story or this breach reason? People don't believe me.
Are you planning on doing that at this event?
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing I do look forward to. No, just kidding. It's part of us showing all the different ways that you can teach people. And that's not just, we've got videos, we've got, interaction and lab kind of stuff. So it's just another thing to show, well, it's, and it's a little, take the edge off kind of thing. And you don't have to have the bourbon.
And it gives you the ability to write off a lot of bourbon.
That it does. I get to buy the bourbon and then have it. But, going back to that report, they did say that there was like a 76% reduction in attack surfaces. It does get better if you do the security things.
Yeah.
But we still have, we don't have the budget. We don't have the resources. We don't have the time. Well, we have insurance.
But these are the same people that when something bad happens, all of a sudden there's no discussion about budget.
Yeah.
Or resources. They find a way.
Mm-hmm. It's definitely.
And it's a lot more expensive then, and they find a way.
Well, and the other thing is once you're hit, especially if you pay because you've got insurance, the number of times we heard, well, we have insurance for that.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that kind of why you let your 8-year-old drive? Because you got insurance for that. But the minute that you get hit and you pay, you're more likely to be hit again.
Mm-hmm.
And what they don't realize is that the next round you might get denied coverage, or at the least your rates are going to go up exponentially. Yeah. And you get it with having 5 boys that you've had to raise, which we were just talking about. The youngest was 10 when we started. He's about to be 20.
Yeah. Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
That's nuts. You got the grandkids and all of that. I mean, our podcast grew up with your boys. And
yeah, it did.
But when you added those kids, those teenage boys, and had to get driver's insurance for them, how was that, David? Was that fun?
They had to pay for their own insurance.
Yeah, that's why.
I was like, I'm not doing it.
You had 4 in the house driving all at the same time, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. But, don't get me on the soapbox, but I don't understand why there's one car and 4 drivers have to pay for insurance when they can only drive the car one at a time.
Yeah.
So I'm not insuring the car. I'm insuring the driver.
Mm-hmm.
But if you ask, they'll say, no, you're insuring the car.
I'm insuring the car for the damage the driver will do to it. Because if the driver's not insured, I'm not paying for the car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I went
loop.
round and round about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a loop. And it's the same problem.
We have to insure them all.
Yeah. Well, it's because you got one good driver and 3 bad drivers. Anyway, it definitely impacts the coverage, and it's the same kind of thing. Well, the cyber criminals came after me. I didn't do anything wrong. Other people get hit. Well, no, it's because you didn't try to stop them enough. You know, and that's really, like if you take driver's ed, you get better rates, because you're doing something to reduce the likelihood that you're going to have problems. So,
well, the thing that scares me the most, and I think we brought it up last week, is that some people are getting to the point where they're just throwing their hands up and they're like, what's the use anymore? Yep. And instead of saying we need to double down on protections and defenses, they're saying we're just going to give up. Like, that's not going to help anybody.
Yeah.
Because you giving up doesn't just make you a target, it also affects me.
Yeah. And it's the world that we have been trying to negotiate with now for 10 years. 10 years of negotiations. And we're I can't say we're winning. I can't say we've won anything. Although I've gotten some great
we're
gifts.
Consistent.
I've gotten some great gifts.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I'll go with that. But, when we look at it and it's like we're hitting 500, we've been doing this for 10 years. And I remember when we did our 200th episode and we said, we're shutting this down. And then made out like we were shutting it down the whole time, and then said, "Oh no, we're not talking about us. We're talking about the data breach people. They shut down their practice. That's what we weren't talking about us." And so
that was probably the most fun podcast.
Well, I felt so bad because some of the messages we got were very sad. They were so upset, and I'm like, I'm so sorry, but we still thought we were funny. And, our jokes haven't necessarily improved, but we don't necessarily plan them that much either. We just start doing them.
Yeah.
And
no, we don't plan the jokes. As my wife will tell you, I never know what's going to come out of his mouth. And that's why I'm always on edge.
Yeah. We had, the original when we our own internal FCC reared its head on like episode 2. When I yelled, my windows and doors are open, my britches are down, come on in. That apparently didn't sit well, but it was a visual about how bad the security was. But caught me with my pants down, that's a thing. That's
still my favorite one.
I think
even to this day, if I mention it, Carla's eyes will roll.
I think it's your favorite because of the reaction it got. Is why it is.
Absolutely.
And you threw Donna had a pet pterodactyl in on one of them, trying to pretend I was. Then I wasn't old.
But now
I'm old. But I still think stay out of my breeches, still kind of like our thing.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of picked up one from somebody else that used it, and then I haven't seen it anywhere, so we can make it ours. What's up, breeches? I do like that one. Knock me down and steal my teeth. I do. That was a listener. Thank you. I think it was Beth that gave me that one. Boy in our toilet, man.
Yeah, not sure how that one came about. I don't remember now
either. But we've never forgotten that we did it and made the drawing and everything. With the plunger and the cape, yeah. And then of course, wrong. I don't know what started us down that path 1 or at one point we were doing something and started saying that, and now, I mean, I'll say it just in normal things, and people look at me like I'm got 5 heads. But and then our strawberries and nanners thing, which David made a poor server think that something was wrong because we were laughing so hard, but it was because we were so tired. And then she didn't understand what strawberry nanners was that you wanted on your pancakes.
I know. And I was like, go ask somebody in the back. Somebody's got to know what it is. And she's like, I'm not saying that.
I thought it was a setup.
and we got it all on video. Yeah. It's on Facebook somewhere. In fact, it came back last week and it was like, here it is.
Memory lane.
Yeah.
So there's been a lot. Video. We all you listeners who've been with us through a ton, and George he's so consistent on communicating and sending us random things, and really, really appreciate those who've donated and told others about it. If you send us your favorite episodes, your moments, we'll play them. If you want to send us a video, otherwise we'll read your emails or an audio. If you got something to share, we'd love to hear it on our 500.
That's right.
But and then it was like, oh well, what's coming in the next? I ain't doing this 10 years from now. But if you
are you putting in your resignation already?
If you'd have asked me in 2015 if I'd still be doing it, I would have said no way. So, but it can't be an add-on job I'm doing at that moment. I could be doing it for fun by then. But anyway, we know email security is still a problem.
Yeah.
We know that AI can make things better and make things worse. Mm-hmm. We'll keep having episodes that explain that and just different, tweaks on it. And, we talked about changes coming with regulatory changes, and, it is what's the pressure that's going to create those changes? Because we know the pressure is about to burst. There's just too much that's happening, and particularly after Change Healthcare. So we know there's a lot of work to be done, and that we're going to have to keep talking about the same things, but at least we're talking about them differently. The topics are the same, but how you manage them continues to change, which is the perfect example of why we say that this is not something that's a one and done. You do it once a year. It's a constant monitor, check things out, stay on top of it, at least make sure somebody's doing it for you, because if somebody's not doing it, you're in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
So that's all I say. That's all I got to say about that.
All righty. Well, we're going to put a lid on this one. All right, folks. That is our 500th episode. 10 years. Feels like a sentence.
I'm exhausted. I got to have a nap.
All right, folks. Thanks for following us and sharing us. And hey, share this one out too. We appreciate it. It's always fun whenever we're somewhere talking and somebody goes, your voice sounds familiar. Are you David from the podcast? And that's so funny. But thanks so much. And remember, as always, that HIPAA is not about compliance. It's about patient care.
You've been listening to the Help Me With HIPAA podcast, hosted by Donna Grindle and David Sims. The show created to help you with HIPAA. For more information or to ask us a question, visit our website at helpmewithhipaa.com. Neither Donna Grindle or David Sims are attorneys, and they do not offer binding legal advice concerning regulatory compliance. The information in this podcast should not be relied upon or construed as legal advice in any way. Consult your attorney for legal advice concerning compliance with HIPAA regulations.